side or you on this side, but hello, all of you.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah, that's why they brought you.
Something like that.
So it's really nice to meet you. We had a chance to talk briefly.
Sorry, nice to meet you too.
So you don't have to be serious. I got to meet you very briefly.
God, thank God for that.
When you handed me that, I kind of...
No, that is just pure Coca-Cola.
Sure.
I'm just trying to...
I know, I'm going to...
Caffeine. It's like midnight in London at the moment, so I apologise for any delirium. There might be much. So, yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, that's all right. So, as I've already prepped everybody, I'm going to ask a couple questions. I'm going to unleash them on you.
Great.
So,
sounds good. I'm ready.
Because, you know, Peter Capaldi, even before he was a Doctor, was one of my favorite actors. And then when he became the Doctor, I was super excited. And watching him as the Doctor was fun, and so that means all his companions I have a bias for.
Excellent, I like that.
Yeah. And I really like Billy Potts because, and I gotta say this the right way so it's not insulting. She wasn't formally educated, but she was extremely smart and curious and constantly trying to learn. And I love that about what you did with the character. And so what did you really grasp onto when you saw the character, when they finally said, hey, you're gonna be on the show?
Well, I mean, actually you should say that. I think that's kind of a similar thing to what I kind of latched onto with her. I mean, she's kind of one of those people that's sort of come up against a lot of negativity in her life. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, she didn't have her mum, she lived with a foster mother who wasn't hugely interested or nurturing, and you know, sort of presented with like a lot of kind of boundaries that she sort of, you know, just was like, no, I don't want to do that. And she's just like used her own mind and her own kind of tenacity and her own spirit to kind of get over that. And I really engaged with that. I was like, this is someone who is literally defying everything that has been put in front of her and is just living her life anyway. So yeah, I was just into that. I thought she was cool.
And you grew up in the dark days of Doctor Who.
I did. The dark days.
When there was no Doctor Who, I don't think...
When there was no sun at all. It was just...
It was the dark days, it was the 90s. When all we had...
the 90s, enough of that.
All we had was the Christian, we had the...
I was born 3 years ago.
Yeah. But it was... You didn't have Doctor Who.
I told you about the delirium, it's setting in. Welcome to this side.
So unlike David Tennant, unlike Peter Capaldi, who grew up and absolutely loved Doctor Who as children,
yes,
you didn't have that experience. So what was it like to be auditioning for Doctor Who, not knowing?
I mean,
you must know what it's like.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't grow up under a rock. Like, I mean, it was the dark days, but
yeah, it was.
It wasn't literally dark. You know, I knew how big Doctor Who was as a show. I mean, it's a global phenomenon. So, I mean, yeah, and rightly so, I think. So yeah, I mean, it came back when I was like 16, and I watched a little bit of Billy Piper's first series with Chris Eccleston. Round of applause for them guys. Billy's such a great woman. I think she's fantastic. Been a massive fan of hers for many years. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you know, I knew how amazing the show was and how, you know, for me as an actress, like how incredible getting a role like this could be. But I mean, I did not think it was likely to happen in the slightest. I mean, my agent was like, I was doing a play at the time. I was doing The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which is a phenomenal play. If you get a chance to see it, you haven't seen it, do see it. It's marvelous. I was doing that, and I'd done it for 7 or 8 months. So, you know, even though it is a marvelous show, 7 or 8 months of doing the same show every night, it got kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. It just got repetitive. You know, I think it's just a long time, especially as an actor, you like to be challenged. So, you know, my agent was like, "Are you staying in Curious for another year?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so. I think I'm gonna leave in July." And they're like, "Great, because I just had an availability check for you for something." And they were like, "I don't know, it's like some kind of mysterious something. They won't tell me what it is." And then she called me back like 7 minutes later. She was like, "Right, so it's to be the next companion in Doctor Who." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds lovely. I'm never going to get that, am I?" And here we are. So,
two more questions. So now is when I'm going to tell everybody, very calmly, you can start lining up.
Yeah, you're doing it.
I also want to make a quick announcement. We do have ADA people available for today and for any event during the weekend. So if there's a panel you're going to and you want an interpreter for you, please let them know in advance and they'll have someone there for you. So,
Wonderful.
Yeah, they're absolutely.
Well, as it should be.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
So I hear about this audition where you audition first.
Yes.
By yourself, like it's normal.
Yes, yeah, as normal, yeah. Me and the casting director's assistant, you know, with a video camera
And then they do, I guess they call them chemistry tests.
Yes, yeah, they apparently had a stage in between that I didn't know anything about until afterwards, until we were doing like one of our first panels, and then Stephen was like, yeah, we had a recall in between, and I was like, what? I was like, I didn't have a recall, and he was like, no, we kind of knew. And I was like, oh, I didn't. Oh, I wish you'd have told me earlier. So then after that, it was, a chemistry test, if you will. So I was invited, it was after like 2 weeks after my first audition, so I was kind of like, oh, well, that was a nice little day out for me. That job's clearly gone, but you know, 2 weeks is quite a long time to not hear anything from a job. Then my agent's like, we've got a recall for you. It's in the Soho Hotel, which is really nice. I mean, I'd never been there before because it's like one of those really posh ones in London that I was just like, why would I go there? I have a house down the road, and also it's ridiculously expensive. So they're like, it's in the Soho Hotel. You're going to be reading for Stephen Moffat and Ryan Minchin. Andy Pryor's going to be there, the casting director and his assistant, and you're going to be reading with Peter Capaldi. And I was like, what? Sorry, what? Do you, okay. They're like, yeah, we've got this scene, we've got another little one for you to do. And I was just like, I have never been more nervous for anything, actually, I don't think, in my life. I tell a lie, I did a speech at my cousin's wedding, and for some reason that was more nerve-wracking. So I went along with like my ripped jeans and my massive afro and my bright yellow trainers, and rolled into the foyer of the Soho Hotel after having sat in my dressing room, a curious incident, around the corner for like 3 hours practicing with my laptop. Because I'd never really done much screen work before at all, and I hadn't done that many screen auditions, so I was like, right, it's got to be good. So I'm sitting there like practicing with my laptop and the like FaceTime cam, like recording it, being like, no, don't do that, that's awful, okay, right, live for like hours. So I then roll into the Soho Hotel, and then they made me sit there for like 40 minutes or something, because I think that's because it's such such a prestigious role, they want to keep all the secrecy. So everyone that was being recalled couldn't see each other, so we couldn't know who else was going for it or anything like that, which was kind of mad. So I was just sitting in this room like, this place is really nice, really not enjoying it, just freaking out. And finally got upstairs, and everyone was lovely, but I mean, I can't really remember much of what went on at all. They were like, oh, we loved your tape, and I was like, all right, I'll just try and do it exactly like that then. And they were great, and I mean, I'd been reading with like this pretend version of Peter that I'd recorded myself with like really, really dreadful Scottish accent. And that I was, I'd sort of doing his lines and trying to get the vibe, and then obviously I get the real deal, and I was like, this is good. Okay, good. This is stuff. But it was great. I mean, I don't think I actually relaxed until we did like the third scene. The second scene, Peter's like, oh, do you want to like stand up? And I was like, what? Because I don't know if any of you have been to a TV casting, but you don't usually stand up. You usually sit still, and the camera's like this, this kind of close up, and you're basically just trying not to move your face as much as possible, and yet still convey some kind of level of emotion. And so he's like, do you want to stand up? Because we're doing the scene where Bill first goes into the TARDIS. And I was like, well, okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't say no to Peter Capaldi, do you? I mean, not in that capacity anyway, do you know what I mean? So I'm there like, okay, and he's like running around, and he's like pressing buttons and these imaginary things, and I was just standing there like, literally like, I was like, like I have no idea what to do, like, and luckily that's pretty much what Bill is meant to do in the scene. Otherwise, I might not be seeing it.
That's exactly perfect. The first time you can introduce an artist.
But I think the third scene we did was the trailer where Bill's first introduced, and Peter's like, oh, maybe we should just lean back against this wall. And I was like, okay, cool, and I leaned back against the wall, and I felt something in the room just go like everyone was like, it just kind of worked. Do you know what I mean? There was just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but you know, when you just feel that kind of energy, it just sort of clicked, and I was like, I think this is good. It's like, I think this is going well. And it did. Yeah. Which is pretty good.
And Peter's nice?
Peter's lovely.
That's what I want to make sure
he's
knows
a
that.
gem, man. He's a gem. He's going to come here. He has told me he's going to.
It's not a contractual thing.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Oh my God, that's a riot.
Right. Sorry.
Faces of
Sorry. No, I wasn't. Hey, what? Sorry. I told you the delirium.
I had a chance to meet him once. He's a very sweet guy, and he's very good with the kids.
He's so good with kids, isn't he?
And the eyebrows, just
with kids. Eyebrows all over the shop, mate.
Usually it's like, oh, he's scary eyebrows, but when you see him in person, it's, oh, he's excited, happy eyebrows.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's going to ask the question, so this might be interesting.
I'm hoping there's the baby.
She does have a lot to say, but she's gonna let me take this one.
Oh, that's nice of her.
I know, wasn't it?
She's shy.
She's very cute. What's her name?
Diana.
Diana. Hi, Diana. Hi, Diana.
We named her.
She can hear her name.
Well, I was just curious. I don't want to bring it down or anything, but it's always sad when a companion leaves. And I felt like your departure was particularly rough, and I was in denial.
Very brutal, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I was in denial of the whole arc, and then anyway, I was just wondering if you can tell us about like filming that and what that whole deal was like. It was good.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal actually. It was yeah, I mean when I first read the script and saw that like Bill was going to be turned into the first Mondasian Cyberman, I was like, firstly, that is clever. I was like, that is very, very clever. No one is going to see that coming. But secondly, like, what are you trying to do to these people? I was like, this is deep, man. You know, I was like hoping I created a character that people would get, you know, some kind of emotional attachment to, and then, you know, to turn her into something so horrendous. Those scenes where she's like in the barn and she comes out and she realizes that no one's ever going to look at her in the same way again. I was like, that's heartbreaking. It was so deep, but I mean, we had an amazing director. Rachel Talalay is phenomenal. She's such a wonderful woman, and she was really great working with all of us through all of that stuff, because there's some big stuff for everyone in those episodes. You know, like with the Master and Missy stuff, and you know, obviously the Doctor's about to regenerate as well, and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on, and she managed to give everyone like proper care and attention and time, and just like, yeah, just sort of an amazing ability to kind of hone in and kind of be like, okay, what do you need from this? What can we do to make you feel good? And what can we, you know, what's working, what isn't, you know, let's try it this way, let's experiment with some other stuff. And experimenting with like, because obviously they couldn't put me inside the Cyberman costume, which I was pretty gutted about, actually. I was like, that would have been really fun, but also very hot. And trying to get the hair in there, I was like, that's going to be a nightmare. I was like, my makeup artist is going to kill me. And also I was too short as well to be imposing. I've never been called short before in my life, but apparently I wasn't scary enough, Cyberman, so whatever. But Rachel was great in terms of working with me and Liam, the guy who was inside the Cyberman suit, and she'd be like, okay, so she'd work with me and be like, what would you do in this? You know, if you were within the costume, if you were Bill as a Cyberman, and then he'd come around and then he'd learn like all the movements. So it was kind of like I was in there, but wasn't actually in there. But yeah, it was deep, man. It was wonderful. I felt like we did with it as much as we could have. So I was pleased with that. Thank you for your question. Bye, Diana. Hi. Oh, she is adorable.
Yeah, her.
Look at her. Oh, thank you. Hello again.
Hi.
Hi.
So,
That's how I met her too, I get it.
alright, so to try and turn this away from a sad note, I was wondering, what was your favorite scene to do with Michelle Gomez or Missy?
Oh, good question. I think the scene where Bill first meets her, and she goes down into that thing, she's sitting there playing the piano in that massive room. I mean, it was a room when we rehearsed it, obviously it's in the vault or whatever it is, isn't it? And she was just great. I'd met her like briefly, but we were shooting this scene for like a whole day. So she was like doing so much stuff and experimenting and being like, oh, maybe I'll just lie down and play the piano on this bit. And I was just like, this woman is bonkers. In the best way, do you know what I mean? She's so creative as an actress. Like, she just kept like throwing out things and she's like, oh, maybe I'm just going to say that in a French accent in this moment. And like, I always kind of thought screen work was quite constrict. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Just in the way that once you've done something one way, it's you can't do too many other variations on it. And working with Peter really taught me that you can do other variations on it. And working with Michelle, I just threw all of that out the window. I was just like, wow, you can just literally do whatever you want. And she was like, yeah, because I mean, they're only going to use one bit at each time. So, you know, if you're talking in a French accent in one bit and they like it, they're going to use that. And if they're not, they're going to use the other bits where you're not. So, yeah, man, she taught me a lot, and it was just so much fun, just sort of standing there, just looking at her with like absolute amusement, because I kind of really empathized with what Bill was feeling at the time. Like, you know, I was like, I was kind of awestruck by her as well, because I've loved her since Green Wing, so I was a bit like, show over, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, man, she's great. She's so wonderful.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Confusion seems to be an advantage for a
Yeah,
companion.
Apparently. Yeah, it's the first time confusion's been an advantage for me in my life.
Yeah, 'cause that's why every companion is confused, at least for the first couple episodes.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because you're getting the hand of things are going.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it was my first TV job, really, so I was getting the hang of all of that as well, which was pretty mental. Looking back on it, I'm like, I don't know how I didn't lose my mind. I clearly did, actually, a little bit, you know.
You could be at home right now, just sleeping. This could all be a dream.
Don't say that. No, not go back there. Told you, sorry.
I'm glad you got to get
This is genuinely only Peter Capaldi, I promise you.
Hi, Pearl. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for talking to Peter about coming here, because that was one thing that would be awesome.
I'd like to clarify, I did not coerce Peter Capaldi in any way.
Just talking to him about it,
I
plant
think we were
seeds,
talking
right?
about it at another convention at some point, and he was like, yeah, I'd really like to go to Salt Lake City, so...
Nice. I'd love to have him.
Yes, I'm sure he would love to make it out here someday.
And my question is so, and you even kind of defined it well yourself, a worldwide phenomenon. How is it to be cast as a recurring role on a worldwide phenomenon?
I mean, it was mental. Like, yeah, I mean, it's completely insane. You know, as an actor, you think, oh, okay, you know, I'll be lucky if I get any job, firstly. And then you get a job, and you're like, okay, cool, you know, I'm lucky if I get, you know, something else that's slightly bigger, and, you know, you get a play above a pub, and you're like, yes, it's going all right. You know, maybe if I can continue doing some of these, you know, and as I said at the time, I was doing a West End show, which was my first West End show, and I was like, you know, I remember sitting on the stage when I got that, being like, if this is as big as it gets, this is pretty good. You know, and then I got Doctor Who, which is like stratospheric in comparison. So I was just like, it's something that you kind of never really think is going to happen, something that you always hope in your like wildest dreams might come along, and then it does, and you're just like, oh, this is better than I ever could have imagined. It's incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How did it affect your daily life? Like one day, kind of maybe they know who you are, and the next day you are.
Well, the first day, no one knew who I was. Apart from my little family, and my mates.
I happen to the West End.
Yeah, and people that go to the West End.
Let's
But I
not
mean,
pretend that you're just some guy off the street. You're
no, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's a West End show in its third year of running. It wasn't, you know, it was a big show, but it wasn't like a show with any big names in it or anything like that. So, you know, it wasn't like people were like, hey, I saw you in Curious Incident, walking past me on the street. But the next day, like, there was like paparazzi outside the stage door and stuff. And I was like, wow, I was not prepared for that. And I saw a photo of me. I was wearing this bomber jacket, right, that I got from like a vintage shop under an arch in Brixton for like 30 quid that was like an old like working men's kind of jacket. And they're like, oh, there's a picture of me in the newspaper that's like, oh, Mackie's wearing like bomber jacket from Vetements. She's like £759. And I was like, no, she ain't. It really made me laugh. I was like, all these assumptions that people are like, I see, you're a celebrity now, that's what you do. I was like, no, I don't do that. That's so not who I am.
They don't understand because they think TMZ is bad, and it's nothing compared to British tabloids.
Oh, is it really?
TMZ
I thought American tabloids were worse, but I guess, I mean, the Sun is dreadful.
Yeah, it's all.
Oh, thank you. Exactly, someone knows. You know, she's British. She knows.
Well, I don't want to get turned into anything badly, so let's get to the witch before she gets her spells casted.
Excellent.
You look great.
Hi.
Hannah, isn't
Yes.
it? Hello, Hannah.
Hi. So I wanted to ask, did they take any character traits of yours, any quirks, sayings, and work those into Bill, or was she like her own thing?
Well, Stephen likes to do that quite a lot, anyway. And I think I said in the audition, I think it was maybe when Peter said, do you want to stand up? And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I usually just sit still and try and not make my face move as much as possible. You know, my face always kind of goes all over the place, but sure, yeah, stand up. And in episode 1, sure enough, Bill's like, oh, I've never liked my face. It's always doing expressions when I'm trying to be enigmatic. And I was like, I think you might got that from somebody. He's like, nah, it's fine. Come on, just carry on. Just say the lines. Come on. Let's keep working. Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I don't know. I guess you'd be better asking Stephen that, because I don't know how well formed she was before they met me. I know that I don't think there was that much of her as yet, because I mean, when I first read the scene, the opening scene of episode 1 of the pilot, she was talking about a guy that she like fancied. And then Stephen was like, something's not sitting right, she's just not right, she's not alive yet. And then he's like, she's talking about a girl. So, I mean, I don't know if that was I don't think that was anything to do with me, but, you know, I mean, it's like, so I know that a lot of her wasn't quite formed as yet, so, yeah, I think there are some similarities between us. We both talk too much. Yeah, I think probably quite equally defiant, in a good way, in hopefully a quite endearing way.
Very.
Thank you. It wasn't fishing.
No, I know.
Thanks very much.
I didn't like what you got, so.
Hey, well, there you go. It's a win-win.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That's a big hat. You want to get out of the way of that?
I couldn't see around.
I hate to be sitting behind her.
That's all right. She's taking it off.
Oh, good.
She's very gracious. Hello. Hi.
So firstly, I've only cried at 2 companions leaving. It was yours and Donna's.
Oh, thank you, I think.
But my question is, since Pearl, or your Pearl,
I am
Bill,
I was her as well, it's fine. You may have
since she was part of the LGBT community, she was a woman, she wasn't formally educated, and that breaks a lot of barriers and boundaries and things like that. How did it feel being, minus Captain Jack, the first companion in the LGBT community to be in the forefront of everything in Doctor Who?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I really registered how much of a big deal it would be at first. But then thinking about it, I was like, I'm very lucky in where I was brought up and my family, and everyone in my family is very liberal and very open-minded. 2 of my godfathers are gay. Like, I've been surrounded by people from different walks of life, different sexualities, different races, different religions, for my whole life. You know, from like where I was brought up. that's just always been part of my life and always been accepted with ease, with open arms. And I think when it was announced, and you know, still even meeting fans of the show who are part of the LGBTQ community, is like realizing the impact of that. Because I mean, you know, the show is broadcast all over the world. It's broadcast in places where, you know, homophobia is still rife. Where, you know, some places, you know, near here, homophobia might be rife. I mean, it's completely like people's own lifestyle and people's own upbringing and that kind of thing. And I didn't realize what an impact it would have to have a character, a companion, just being out and being proud, and for it not being a big deal in the show. And it's still quite overwhelming to me to meet people who are like, I remember I met someone in Berlin, a young girl whose family are from Malaysia, but she lived in Berlin, so she was like brown, you know, as well, I was like, okay, cool, this is, you know, I feel the power. She was like 18, and she was like, okay, she like burst into tears and was like, I wouldn't have been able to come out to my family if it wasn't for you. And it still makes me really emotional thinking about it, actually. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing, like, as an actor, sorry, pull yourself together. As an actor, you don't really think necessarily that you're gonna do something that is gonna actually touch people's lives. Like, you know, it's like, I wanna entertain, I wanna, like, you know, empower people, that's wonderful, but actually being given a platform to do that is so amazing. And yeah, I feel very humbled, and I hope that I'm doing a good job. Thank you. Hello.
So, as other people, doctors, companions, all that have we've heard about different things that have happened, like doctors sneaking onto the set of The Anniversary, or different pranks that others have pulled off. Is there anything you know of that you can talk about that has happened while you were recording?
I mean, we weren't very pranky cast, somehow. I don't know how. It was like Matt Lucas, who's like, literally pranks just fall out of him. I don't know how, nothing really happened. We just spent a lot of time just kind of hanging out together, making each other laugh, which is always nice. You know, and talking about stuff, but yeah, there weren't many pranks. I get asked this a lot, and I'm like, have I just not remembered stuff? But I don't think, yeah, we didn't do that a lot. I mean, it's such a fast-moving show, you know, so, especially for, like, you know, the three of us were on so much, so a lot of the time when we weren't being able to all have a giggle ourselves, we're like trying to learn our lines and trying to just make sure that we're doing a good job, you know, so, yeah, but I think I was also, I'm usually quite a pranky person, but it was my first TV job, and I was just basically just trying to do it right, you know, just trying to actually remember where I'm supposed to stand and hit my mark, and all of that boring stuff that you need to forget about in order to be able to actually act on camera. So yeah, sorry to disappoint.
No worries, and also on behalf of all of us, thank you for coming out here to see us.
We tell them to come like in July. The 1 week there's nothing here, it just comes to an empty salt box.
It comes to like,
So here's all your fans
be like super hot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure we'll find something to do. It's very resourceful.
I was wondering, when you started, did you know where Bill's story was going to end up? Did you know it would only be a season?
Oh, sorry.
I was just curious. Like, when did you find out?
When did I totally talked over the actual bit of the question that you were actually asking me, so sorry about that.
That's okay.
Let's go again.
I was just wondering, like, when you found out how Bill's story was going to end, did you know it was just going to be a season? Did you, like, know you were working towards that? When did you find out?
I knew that, I didn't know how her character was going to come to a brutal end. But I kind of knew that it was only going to be a season. I mean, we sort of knew that it was like, you know, Stephen was leaving. We kind of knew that they wanted to bring in a new doctor. you know, there were rumors that it was probably going to be a woman. You know, like there's something, you know, there was something different. You kind of knew the change was in the air. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty apparent from quite early on that was going to be the vibe, which is kind of, it's good. I mean, yeah, but I did not know about the whole Cyberman scenario, which was pretty dark, as we established before. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely the roughest.
Yeah.
What is your favorite role that you have done besides Doctor Who?
That's a good question, actually. Now you're asking.
I told you I was lazy. I let them do all the hard work.
Well, damn me, apparently. Sure. Oh, that's really interesting.
First thing that pops in your mind.
Sorry, first thing, I could say anything, couldn't I?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it genuine. I played a character in a play above a pub. I think maybe a year or two before I got Doctor Who, and it was a play called Obamaology, and it was about Obama's campaign trail, and it was about this guy, well-educated black guy who's on Obama's campaign staff, who goes to Cleveland, Ohio, and because it's a massive swing state, which I now know, and he sort of, it's, you know, it's just kind of basically trying to get out the vote, and he meets this young woman who is 27, and she's got 2 kids, and she's got this like amazing spirit, but she's like cripplingly shy, and you find out that she can't read or write, but yet she's like got like the biggest heart ever, and she kind of throughout the whole story she kind of comes out of her shell and becomes part of the campaign trail, and it kind of gives her a reason to be, and yeah, it just really resonated with me. I feel like I like stories where people overcome the obstacles that are put in front of them. I think that kind of journey it always just resonates with me. I was one of those ones, like, you know, I read it and I was like, no one else is going to play this part. I was like, I have to do this. So, yeah, it was good. I'd like to do that again, actually. Think about that. Thanks for that. It gave me some inspiration.
Thanks for coming here.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming here.
Yeah. So, with so many companions that have preceded you with such a long line, are there any companions or predecessors that you have encountered, or if not, would have loved to encounter?
In general life, or?
Well, I mean, the companions that have preceded you, are there any
As in,
that...
have I met them?
If you met them, or if you...
I have.
If there are any...
I think I met most of them. Actually. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I met Freema for like 2 minutes on a plane, so I haven't really properly met her, but yeah, I mean, I've met Arthur Darville, got mutual friends, met Karen a couple of times, she's lovely, met Jenna, she's very lovely, and Billy's obviously one of the sickest humans ever. So, yeah.
Have you ever talked to Billy?
And I met Catherine Tate.
Yep, she's a sweetheart.
She presented, so yeah, very briefly, not properly. We haven't really got into grips. Got to, you know, got into depth. Sorry, but wow, jet lag. Hi. We haven't got to, you know, got in depth about the whole Doctor Who experience, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I haven't met many of the older ones, but that would be. No, indeed, but it would be nice. Thank you very much. Hi.
So, we talked about before how nervous you were when first auditioning for Doctor Who, and you probably were worried that a bunch of things would go wrong. So my question is there anything that happened on set while you were filming that went terribly, terribly wrong, and you thought like, oh my god, this is the moment I'm gonna get fired, or something?
So many. Well, they can't find me now, can they? Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised how many ridiculous things go wrong. A lot just with like bits of the set falling down, or like falling over, or yeah, fell over a couple of times. I'm quite good at that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, hugely awful. Luckily, you know, I was like, you know, they'd given me the job and they were like, we started filming now, you can't get rid of you, so, you know, sort of had liberty to make a few mistakes, which is nice, and luckily, you know, with camera, you do have the, like, luxury of being like, cool, maybe we should do that again, because you fell on your face. Yeah, but, I mean, I think one of the funniest things that happened on set was, in episode 2, it's like towards the end where there's a big like explosion that happens towards the end of the episode, and yeah, like we were just doing this scene all day in this big white kind of domed room that was boiling, and we had loads of supporting artists that were just mainly lying on the floor a lot of the time because Peter has this big speech. So, you know, we're mainly filming that all day. And at one point, we just had this, like... I mean, Peter's, like, literally just, like, starts wetting himself laughing. He's like, is someone snoring? And everyone's just, like, you know, completely delirious by this time. It was, like, so hot, and we're all, like, just wiping the sweat off our faces, like... And this guy just wakes up, it's like, oh, sorry. Whole crew, everyone's just looking at him like, mate, come on, what are you doing? But yeah, that was quite a funny one. That sort of alleviated some tension from the heat that we were all experiencing. So, but yeah, that wasn't me, so they couldn't find me for that. Thank you.
Alright, we're gonna change this up a little bit. My daughter lost her voice and sent me her question, and what she wanted to know was, would you rather have legs the length of your fingers or fingers the length of your legs?
Well, that took a turn.
I don't know. Neither. They both sound rubbish.
That's a no win.
Legs the length of your fingers or fingers the length of your legs. I keep thinking one's better than the other, and I just don't. I think fingers the length of your legs, because then if your legs got tired, you can walk on your hands. Hello, how are you doing? Pretty good, and you? Yeah, good. Having a very nice time, actually. Let's go.
Well, my question is, being a classically trained actress, then going to TV roles, do you have a preference before a live performance on stage or a recorded performance that you can do multiple retakes if something goes wrong?
I mean, I get asked this quite a lot. I think I like both for different reasons. I mean, being on stage it's amazing. It's so blindly terrifying that you just have to get on with it. But it's one of the most incredible feelings, like the adrenaline of being on stage and just knowing that you have to get it right because it's all on you, and if something goes wrong, you have to figure it out. That excitement and the response that you get from the audience, you know what I mean? If you make a joke and people laugh, you're like, yes, it worked! You know, it's that kind of instant kind of understanding is great. But then also, you know, you can be doing a show and people come up to you afterwards and they're like, wow, that was incredible. And you're like, really? Because like, you guys were really quiet tonight. Like, I didn't feel like anyone was really that involved. I didn't feel like anyone was that in it. So, you know, that the sort of the liveness of theatre can work in your favour, and it can also not in both of those ways. And then being on camera, I feel like you get to do like some real like detail that can often get missed on stage because you're playing to thousands of people and it has to carry, you know, to the back. It has, you know, and it's not being projected on the screen behind you. It has to be, you know, you have to communicate those emotions to everyone in the theatre. You have to give everyone the same performance. You can't just perform just for you, because that's, you know, everyone else has paid their money, you know? But on screen, I think you can do that. You can just, it can be really, really intimate, and I really enjoy that. I, you know, kind of enjoy the challenge of just thinking about the stuff rather than kind of showing the stuff. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like to only do one for the rest of my life. I think doing both is an amazing luxury, and it's, you know, they're both fantastic in their own ways. So yeah, I'd hopefully like to do both for the rest of my life, please.
We've got 4 minutes left, and
Oh my God, I'm sorry, I told you I like talking.
We have 4 people in line.
Okay, let's go, quick.
Oh, you can't get back in line. So, real quick, no nonsense, get right to it.
Okay.
Boom.
Hi.
Question, how involved were you in the costuming process? Were you just like handed a coat and said, wore this, or did you like pick out the patches? And...
No, pretty involved actually.
Pretty involved?
Yeah, me and Hayley went shopping together. Hayley, the costume designer. We went shopping together in London. We both had sort of pulled some ideas together, and it turned out we were kind of both on a really similar page. Like, I'd photographed this pair of jeans with like loads of patches on the back pocket, and she was like, yeah, I was like, she photographed this thing of like loads of badges on this lapel. And I was like, this is great. And so we went, we found this jacket in Topshop, and then we went to a little shop in Soho and found all these little patches and just got like, just super excited together. And yeah, so yeah, I was really involved, which was amazing.
Did you keep anything?
That is
No.
not gonna say. No comment.
As a legal representation, she did not.
No, I wasn't allowed to. It's a shame.
Next, quick, no, yeah, just...
Hello.
There you go.
Hello, my question is, what brought you out to Salt Lake? All the kind
You guys. I've never been here before, no. But I'm gonna come back. You guys are really
David Tennant?
Sorry?
Have you met Matt Smith and David
I
Tennant?
have met both Matt Smith and David Tennant.
What are
They're
they
both
like?
really nice.
Yeah, David Tennant is amazing. I've been
Lovely.
a couple times.
Matt's great as well.
I've met Matt.
Well, he's very nice, trust me.
I've heard it from a friend. He's wonderful.
There you go. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I think one of the charms of Doctor Who, at least for me, is how many moments of euphoria this show has, and the great skill that the writers have for making us all feel that moment of triumph, or even when it's very sad or dark, it still has these poignant moments. I was wondering for you, your experience being on the inside of it, what was a memorable moment for you acting where you felt swept up in a moment where you really felt like you did something just well and you felt the joy of that accomplishment?
So many, Leslie, but I'm going to tell you the first one that springs to mind, which is the scene at the end of the pilot where the Doctor is going to erase Bill's memory. It was like the end of the day, and I think we've been shooting for a week. And everyone was rushing around because when it gets to the end of the day on set, everyone's like, oh, quick, go. It's like, you know, camera guys running past me. Me and Peter's like, do you want to should we just rehearse this? Let's just rehearse it. Because it's like, you know, we haven't really had a chance to work with the director on this scene really at all. And we were just like standing in this corner and just kind of batting it out. And he was like, oh, what if I do this? And I was like, yeah, okay, what if I do this? And he's like, yeah. So we're just like getting into it, just like two actors just kind of in a darkened corner behind the set, getting moved around all over the place. And when we did it, like, it was one of those moments where you're just like, I was like, I think that worked. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this is the hook for the end of the episode. It has to be good, otherwise no one's gonna care at all anymore. Do you know what I mean? I was like, if this bit doesn't get people, then there's the episode is for nothing, the series is for nothing, no one's in. And it just felt like it really worked, you know, and Pete was like, I think we did that, and I was like, yeah, I do too.
Thank you. I look forward to watching that part again and knowing that.
Thank you.
Come on.
That's such a better last question.
Okay. You have the
What's yours?
question.
I think it's as long as your legs are, as long as you can.
It's like a ridiculous.
It was, but that's okay. You waited. You deserve this time. Go.
I was just gonna ask, what is a skill or hobby that you have that most people wouldn't expect?
Oh God, now you're asking.
You can sing.
I can sing, but everyone knows that. What else do I do?
Can you juggle?
No, I really can't.
Any impersonation?
I can't juggle, no, I can't do impersonations. I'm quite good at accents.
What's the weirdest accent you can do? The strangest, most exotic accent you can do?
I've got no idea, I don't know. What's exotic?
Well, doesn't matter. Something like, maybe do you do an American accent?
I have got a film coming out in which I do a Mauritius accent. So,
what?
Mauritius. There you go, that's exotic. Everyone's like, where's that? Mauritius, you know, the island that is in the...
We're American, we don't know geography. It's not the United States, we're still kind of iffy in where...
Yeah, so there you go, very exotic. Yeah, so there's a film in which you will hear me doing a Mauritian accent, which is kind of French Creole sort of vibe. So you can be the judge on whether I'm good at accents or not.
Well, on behalf of Salt Lake and at FanX, we wish you absolutely the best in everything you do.